So welcome to Financial Wisdom with Milan. Today is the part 2 of the charitable giving. Basically on this channel we're trying to help folks educate and share some information that a lot of my clients have used over the years working with me, and like I said, they learn from me and especially I learn from them. Charitable giving is not something that somebody should be forced into, but somebody who wants to and wants to make a difference. So that's why we're doing this. And today we're going to talk about a very special individual, and I hope you enjoyed the next few minutes because I think this person is definitely worth all of our recognition for all the efforts that this person has done. So we'll cover that in a next segment. Thank you for joining today. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to recognize somebody really special. I was trying to think of the name, but I couldn't think of the name. I don't know. Anybody comes to mind? Anybody at all? Okay. But I want to talk about the Yield Giving. It's a charitable organization run by a very special team. I'm sure she wanted me to say that first. She has an incredible team there, and I will organize them more ways than one. And the person behind it, obviously, we're going to talk about it. But basically, what it stands for is to increase and to give up control. So basically, giving without any BS where it's needed. We need to do more of that, all of us. So I'm going to think of the person's name. Who are we talking about? Oh, my girlfriend, yes. My wife knows, my daughter knows, I'm madly in love with this woman, okay? It's as simple as that. Why? I don't know. Miss Scott, that's right. Extraordinary, extraordinary. And we're going to go a little bit and explain a little bit how the Yield Giving, her charitable arm works, or what we think we know because it's not very public information. And more importantly, we'll share some of the information that is available, obviously, that I was able to put together. Okay, so I was debating actually how to start, to have like a hook, what they say, right? Ain't no hook needed for this video, okay? This is made from the heart because I absolutely love this person. I mean, she's incredible. And Miss Scott, if you're watching this, girl, I hope to break bread with you one day, to meet you and maybe do a little show with you. Maybe, I know you haven't done any interviews at all, but if you feel like it, if you like my eyebrows, please let me know. Okay, I need to start today basically with a question. If you suddenly had, I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but if you had suddenly $38 billion with a B, that's right, what would you do? Let me guess. Maybe a yacht, right? Private jet. Hey, I don't blame you. I would probably do the same, right? Maybe a mansion in every time zone, right? Maybe a golden toilet. No. But okay, don't judge. We all thought about it, all right? But what if I told you there is a woman right now who has a $38 billion and her primary activity, I know it sounds incredible to say it, but is giving it away as fast as humanly possible. No press conferences, no giant checks with her name on it, no stadiums actually naming rights, no drama. I love this girl. Just wire transfers, enormous, life-changing, community-transforming wire transfers. So basically organizations that had no idea the call was coming. That's the truth, okay? Who is this woman? And why does she make every other billionaire philanthropist look like they're moving at the speed of a sloth in molasses? I'm talking to you, Jeff, okay? Sorry. Welcome to Financial Wisdom with Milan. Today we're actually talking about MacKenzie Scott. That's right. One of the most extraordinary humans on the planet. No question about it. And I promise this is going to be warm, funny, educational, and maybe a little bit mind-blowing. So I hope that Miss Scott doesn't get mad at me for me calling her MacKenzie just because she's my girl, and I hope she understands. If you happen to watch this video, I doubt it highly, you're super busy, or if one of your team members lets you know, please do. And all you need to know is, I love you, girl. That's all I'm going to say, okay? Simple as that. I got to hold on to my goggles because I see better with them, okay? So who is she? So let's start at the beginning, shall we? It makes sense, right? MacKenzie Scott grew up in San Francisco and showed up an extraordinary gift for writing from a very young age, actually, okay? She got into Princeton University. That's right. It's not a misprint. Princeton University, where she studied English under one of her heroes, the Nobel Prize-winning novelist Toni Morrison. This lady is incredible. If you know anything about Miss Morrison, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, okay? And here's the part that will blow your mind. Toni Morrison personally selected MacKenzie Scott as one of her only 2 student assistants, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. She would ever take on. Actually, she doesn't take just 2 people. Out of everyone at Princeton, Morrison picked her. You got it, girl. That's all I'm saying, okay? But here's what almost no one knows. At Princeton, MacKenzie was actually broke. I mean, it's not a secret. I'm sorry, Ms. Scott, if I'm wrong, please correct me. She was working basically multiple jobs to afford tuition. Okay, that's the truth. She glued a broken tooth back herself because she couldn't afford a dentist. She almost dropped out sophomore year for lack of funds. I'm sure a lot of you maybe can familiarize yourself with that or familiar with it. Okay, that is relevant. Okay, because decades later, when she actually wrote about why she gives the way she does, she said the people she thought of with every single gift were not famous philanthropists. How's that? She actually thought of a college roommate and a dentist who later treated her for free. The ordinary kindness of ordinary people, right? Now, that's what she gives I like, okay? That's what she gives. She's amazing. She really is. Now, after Princeton, actually, MacKenzie married a guy she met at work named Jeff. Jeff Bezos, yes, maybe you heard of him, right? Right, exactly. That guy, right. They drove across the country to Seattle, in Washington State, where Jeff actually spent the entire road trip dictating the Amazon business plan while MacKenzie drove. She then actually became employee number one, okay? Working out of the garage, you probably heard the story, handling the accounting, helping build what became the largest retail in human history. We all familiar with this. Pretty much all of the gear that I have here is freaking brought on Amazon. How's that? Fast forward 25 years. Amazon is worth roughly $1.7 trillion as of this writing, I think. They divorced in 2009. MacKenzie receives about 4% of Amazon stock, roughly $36 to $38 billion at the time, I think, which is, to put it gently, the most expensive divorce settlement in recorded human history. None of my business, but I hate just even my clients saying, I think this girl could have gotten more. I'm sure she could have, but she wanted to walk away and not to deal with this. I hear you, girlfriend, okay? That's all I'm saying. Now, most people in that situation will, for example, understandably take a minute, like buy some things, decompress, do all the, fun things that you always wanted to do, right? I mean, that's the whole point of having so much money, I guess, right? But my girlfriend, MacKenzie, had a different idea, okay? She signed the giving pledge, basically the commitment by the world's wealthiest people to donate the majority of their wealth, and wrote 5 words that should be, literally, carved somewhere, anywhere, okay? It's very important to say this. She said basically, I will keep at it until the safe is empty. I will keep at it until the safe is empty. She was not joking. She really meant that. Now, for some of the other billionaires, all I hear from the other side is this. She is doing what a lot of people are talking. So what is yield giving? The website actually that's brilliantly done. So I want to describe the yield giving website to you for a moment, okay? Because it is truly a masterpiece of minimalism. It really is. You go to yieldgiving.com and you see literally a few sentences, okay? No photos, no staff directory, no contact information, no application portal, no phone number, no email. Nothing. Nothing. I think I got the spelling right there, okay? That's how they want it, okay? Basically, it's a philanthropic equivalent of a mysterious door with no handle. I mean, you probably heard people have described it as the website that took a wow silence. It is true, it really is. And yet, this tiny, silent, mysterious website, okay? Are you ready for this? Has distributed $26 billion to over 2,700 organizations. I will repeat that because some of you were not paying attention, okay? Has distributed $26 billion to over 2,700 organizations. It is the most impactful bad website in human history, if you want to argue, okay? Basically, it's giving. It's giving without the restrictions. That's what yield giving is, and that's what Ms. Scott described it, even in her essays that she does annually. Yield giving was formally launched in December 2022, actually. The name is deliberately chosen. As I said a second ago, it says yield has 2 meanings. First, yields as in produce, generates, this money actually built through the collective effort of countless workers should be yielded back to the world. Okay? Second, yield as in step back, give way, cede control. Apparently some richer people have a problem with that. I don't know why, but okay. Not her, not my girl. Her entire philosophy is built on a yielding power to the organizations themselves. Revolutionary, right? Yeah, simple, but it's true. You get the money, You decide how to spend it. We trust you. We won't check on you. We won't require reports. We won't tell you what it's for. Hey, the rest of you snap out of it. Pay attention. Talking to billionaires specifically. That philosophy actually has a name in a nonprofit world. Trust-based philanthropy. I will say it again. Trust-based philanthropy. It really is. And MacKenzie Scott has become its most powerful practitioner on earth. Okay? It is so true. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Now, here's the what makes the actually, I wanted to say briefly about them actually. Here's what makes the yield giving actually almost comically remarkable. It really is. The entire operation, which I distributed, as I said a second ago, $26 billion, I'm sure at this point, a little bit more than that, runs with what sources describe as a small network of staff and advisors. That's just sources, you know, you heard that before, but that's what the room on the street is, okay? There is no published, headcount, but observers actually estimate the team is probably fewer than 30 people. Wow, really? 30 people? MacKenzie, you go, girl, okay? Compare that to the, for example, Gates Foundation. Not to throw them under the bus because they're doing a great job also, but over 1,700 employees distributing roughly $5 billion per year. Okay, I mean, Melinda's left the foundation, started her own thing, so Bill needs to snap out and get to it. Okay, Bill? Now, MacKenzie Scott team, which might be the size of a mid-sized restaurant staff, for the lack of better words, distributes more money per person than almost any philanthropic organization in history. That is the truth. Now, yield giving actually works in two ways. Method one is called the quiet research, and this is what they're actually known for. This is not unknown. Actually, there was some interview with some of these organizations I'm going to mention. For example, her small team conducts their own research, identifies the organizations doing exceptional work, and reaches out, sometimes through an intermediary, which makes sense. So the nonprofit doesn't even know who's calling, which is cool. They conduct due diligence, audited financials, obviously makes sense, particularly if you can contribute in the levels that she does, strategic plans, board information, all of that. And then, if everything and everyone checks out, money appears in account. No warning, no press releases, no drama, just a wire transfer. Girl, like I said before, you go, girl, okay? In a letter saying, this is unrestricted. This is the key, and this is what they do. Use it however you want. Don't come back asking for more. So they're very clear. That's interesting the way they done it because, okay, I'll talk about it a little bit later. Now, method two is what we call open call. This was done in 2023, if I'm not mistaken, for the first time. They invited applications. Over 6,000 organizations applied. 361 received grants totaling $640 million. So 361 received grants totaling $640 million. Now, here's the really radical part. Are you ready? The review process used peer evaluation. How novel, right? Other nonprofits actually reviewing each other's applications. A nonprofit being evaluated by its peers. Revolutionary, okay? You really think about it. Simple, right? Because I'm going to use a few examples. I'm just going to mention the person's and people's names because they become public, obviously. So that's why. Let me tell you about Kerry Billy. I think I pronounced her first name Kerry Bill. Miss Bill, I apologize if I haven't, okay? She was the incoming CEO of the Cafe Reconcile in New Orleans, okay? A restaurant basically that trains young people from difficult backgrounds for careers in the culinary industry. So, you know, to feed the masses and to feed the people, right? Now, during her job interview, she made a bold promise. I love this girl. Promise to her board. She said basically, I'm going to get MacKenzie Scott grant. What do you think the board did? Of course, the board probably smiled politely and trying to tell a girl, you need to snap out of it and go wash the dishes, okay? I'm not saying that they did, but I'm just saying. But Kerry actually had done her homework. She knew what yield giving looked for. Community-rooted organizations, makes sense. Strong leadership, they had. Clear impact, obviously, because in a community. And financial stability, because of donations, they were doing all of those things. So basically, she focused on building every one of those things. Now, this is the funny part. In 2024, the call came. That's right. So Cafe Reconcile was receiving $4 million, if I'm not mistaken. It was $4 million, okay? Now, Kerry cried, of course. The rest of the staff was ecstatic, and nobody ever questioned her again. Now, this, you think, probably be like the end of the story, right? But this is the truth. And when the story actually broke in New Orleans, the celebrations was extraordinary, as you can imagine, right? because this wasn't a distant foundation parachuting in with conditions and strings. No strings attached. That was the whole premise. That's why MacKenzie's doing it the way that she's doing it. Okay? Now, this was a quiet trust arriving as a wire transfer, saying, hey, we see what you're doing. Keep going. Here's the fuel. Okay? Now, let's talk about actually where the money, where the actual money actually goes. Meaning, because this is where things get genuinely moving. Okay. So, for example, since 2020, MacKenzie Scott has given approximately 1.35 billion to historically black colleges and universities. I'll say it again because it's worth repeating. $1.35 billion to historically black colleges and universities. Let that sink in for a second. That's $1.35 billion. That's right. Okay. And generally speaking, if you think about it, if you look historically, you can Google this if you don't believe me, to schools that have been chronically underfunded the entire existence. I mean, schools basically they produce an extraordinary percentage of black doctors, lawyers, engineers, and business leaders in America. That's just the fact. In 2025, if I'm mistaken, $783 million to historically black colleges in a single round. Let that sink in. That's a lot of money to the right cause. Rutgers professor, I think her name is Maribeth Gassman, who tracks this data closely. She describes Scott as an, quote, an equity machine, end quote, okay? So she said that Scott's 2025 HBCU, we're going to use acronym for it, it's easier, gifts were significantly larger than her already historic 2020 round, and she already did a ton of money then, okay? Spelman College. For Spelman College, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, one of the nation's most respected historically black colleges for women, okay? Scott's $40 million gift was the largest single donation in the school's 140-year history, folks. Wow. 140 years. And then MacKenzie showed up. Okay? So the next one I actually wanted to briefly touch on is what they call undue medical debt. And this is really interesting, okay? Get ready for this. Because this next story is going to make your financial advisor brain basically absolutely light up. I mean, this is interesting, to put it mildly. There is an organization called Undue Medical Debt. Undue medical debt, that's what they call it. Formerly called rest in peace medical debt, okay? And they do something that sounds almost too good to be true, really. They buy unpaid medical debt from hospitals at a fraction of its face value, basically often pennies on a dollar, as they say, right? Just like the credit card companies do, the collection companies that work with them. And then simply actually cancel it. Yep. They send basically the debtor a letter saying, you don't owe this anymore. Your debt is gone. Wow. Isn't that cool? For every $1 actually donated, they erase approximately $100 of debt. Why is our government not that efficient? Why can't they do that? Well, that's a separate video, which is probably around 13 hours long, okay? But that is like 100 to 1 return on your charitable investment. Imagine that. MacKenzie Scott gave them $50 million in 2020. Check this out. $30 million in 2022 and another $50 million in 2025. Total from my girlfriend, $130 million. That's right, $130 million. Now result, over $15 billion in medical debt erased for more than 9 million Americans. I'll say it again, over $15 million in medical debt gone, kicked in the butt for more than 9 million Americans. Now, 9 million people who went to bed one night owing thousands of dollars in medical bills and woke up later, so simply they didn't have anymore any of the medical debt. Now, that's a multiplier, basically, effect of a trust-based giving. Again, I have to turn around. That's what he says. Okay, that's exactly right. Okay, that is the truth. For example, Native American colleges. In 2025, Scott gave $74 million to 6 Native American serving tribal colleges, basically, okay? One of them was, if I'm mistaken, the information I pulled up, Turtle Mountain College in North Dakota, serving the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa Indians, received $22 million, okay? Now, these schools actually operate on budgets that are a fraction of mainstream colleges. I mean, federal funding for tribal colleges has been critically inadequate for decades, or more than decades, I like to say. A $22 million unrestricted gift to a school like Turtle Mountain doesn't just change the school. Think about that for a second, honestly. It literally changes what's possible for an entire community, for generations. Like I keep saying over and over, but my girlfriend is doing it right, okay? So I believe it's only fair actually to do something like a 2025 highlights, okay? 2025. She also gave $50 million basically each to Lehman College, Cal State, East Bay, serving Latinx students. $90 million to forest people, climate, her largest single gift of the year, focused on stopping tropical deforestation. $40 million to the JET Foundation for teen and young adult mental health. We rarely even talk about these days, but that should be addressed fully, obviously. $20 million to the Bob Woodruff Foundation, supporting veterans. Thank you, Ms. Scott. That's one of my favorite. $35 million to Hope Enterprises Corporation, serving disadvantaged communities in the Deep South. And hundreds more gifts to organizations most of us have never heard of, okay? But which are doing extraordinary work in communities that need it most, folks. That's the God's honest truth. Girl, I said it before, I'll say it again, I love you. And let me address some of you geniuses who are probably questioning this. Why give to the same charities twice? Seriously, do I have to address this? Really? Okay, I will address it. How's that? Now, here's a question I find genuinely fascinating. Okay, this is God's honest truth, all right? MacKenzie actually literally tells organizations when she gives them a grant, do not expect additional support. Full disclosure, she said it right up front. I just said at the very beginning of this story, okay? Don't call us, we'll call you. Think about that for a second. Why is that? Well, look, because she calls them again. But hold on, Milan, why would she call them again? Okay, check this out. In 2025, 65% of her recipients, I might be wrong with the number, but again, I apologize to MacKenzie and her team, but 65 of her recipients had already received at least one previous Scott gift, or my girlfriend's gift, I like to call it, not Scott, it just sounds so strange. MacKenzie, you rock, girl. He said so, okay? Now, two organizations, Undo Medical Debt and Camp Fed International, had received 3 gifts. So what's going on? Is she just being nice? Is it sentimental? Is it ransom, or she just likes the people there? Now we're getting a little bit warmer. Okay, no. I think it's one of actually the smartest capital deployment strategies in modern philanthropy. It really is. I mean, think about it. Here's the logic, okay? The first gift is the test. You give to an organization, you research. So obviously the team or the yield giving has done their homework, obviously, right? Okay? You trust them with a large and restricted sum, and then you watch. My girl got this run right, and her team, kudos to you guys and girls, amazing. Now, not in a controlling way, I just want to be clear what they do actually, not with the quarterly reports or site visits, just basically watch what happens to the organization over the next year or two to see how the money has been utilized in that charitable organization, okay? Did they grow? Fair question, right? I mean, you want to know if the benefit is kicking in, right? Did they use the capital wisely? Exactly that. Did their impact increase, meaning like they reach more people out, okay? Did they hire well? Because now they need more staff, obviously. Did they scale the model? Important, right? If the answer is yes, if they prove they could actually absorb large capital and deploy it effectively, then the second gift isn't a charity. Why? Well, it's a rational reinvestment in a proven operator, somebody who's proven to her team, her and everybody around, they're actually making a difference, okay? It's exactly what a smart investor does when a company hits the milestone. You double down, okay? That's how it works, all right? Another actually is dear to my heart as well is the Undo Medical Debt. Let me just address that. So think about the Undo Medical Debt story through this lens, okay? First gift, 2020. So this was 6 years ago, 50 million. 3 employees, 3, okay? Innovative model. And obviously, because of the size, I mean, it was unproven at scale. That was the key. So what happened? Well, they raised billions in debt, proved the model works. A hint to the other charity organizations, make it work, money will come. Make it, build it as they said, they will come, right? Second gift, 2022, $30 million. They used it to scale. hire staff, build technology, begin advocacy. Oh, advocacy? What are you talking about? Hold on, hold your horses. What happened? Well, they grew from 3 to 40 employees. Started influencing policy. That's what we want, to see the real freaking change, okay? Third gift, 2024, $50 million. They use it to change the state law. Can you imagine what that takes, folks? I'm just getting goosebumps. Now think about this. North Carolina became the first state to incentivize the hospital debt relief programs directly because of the research and advocacy funded by Scott's investment. I'm sorry, calling it Scott, just wrong. But my girlfriend's investment, okay? 3 gifts, 4 years, 50 million, became a national policy movement. That is actually what happened when you trust an organization with capital, okay? Innovative, right? Sounds like crazy, but hey, then trust them again when they prove they deserved it. It makes perfect sense. Here's the fun fact. We call this, even here in our business, and I'm sure they've done it there because I just heard the rumor, the peer referral system, they call it, okay? Here's one more piece of the puzzle that almost nobody in the general public actually knows. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't, but this is the truth, honestly. Yield giving calls past grantees, people who have received their funds, and asks them to refer other organizations. What? Look at my jaw. Think about what that means. Think about it, honestly. So the best people to know which nonprofits are doing excellent, trustworthy, impactful work, they make a difference in people's lives every day, right? Are the nonprofits themselves. People on the ground, people who know their sector. So when I'm going to teach the freaking nonprofit how to do their assets and spread their assets, I don't know nothing about that. They do, because they're doing it every day, right? So MacKenzie actually has essentially, we call required, not required, but I'm saying built a peer review network out of organizations that she's actually already vetted and helped. So it's cheap, it's fast, and it scales. Think about it. And it produces recommendations from people with a real skin in the game. Like I said, if you're involved, you know who is who, you suddenly makes sense to recommend or to get a recommendation from them, of course. It's basically a non-profit equivalent of asking your most trusted employees who else they'd hire. How about that? Interesting, isn't it? And let's talk about what you call the large elephant in the room, right? Why the secrecy, if you want to argue, right? Or more accurately, the elephant that refuses to enter the room. Better. Refuses to take a photo and goes home without telling anyone it was there. She's like a ninja, my girl. You go, girl, again, okay? Why is MacKenzie actually so quiet about all of this? Again, this is just my opinion, Ms. Scott. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I hope to meet you one day and tell you in person that you're incredible, okay? She gives away billions. She barely makes the news. She doesn't seek any of the, I'm sure people try to reach out to her, but she said no, okay? To be interviewed, basically. She was literally left of the Chronicle of Philanthropy's top 50 donors list in 2026. Are you Breathe, Milan, breathe. Oh my God, okay. Even though she probably actually gave more than anyone else because she declined to provide information to them. She won't give what they call interviews. Her website has no contact. Go on her website, see what it's all about, okay? There's no contact info. I'm just telling you ahead of the time. There isn't. She uses intermediaries so recipients don't even know they're being evaluated. Why? The giant question. Well, here's her answer, and this is from the Yield Giving own website. She doesn't participate in media interviews, and I'm quoting here basically, quote, in order to cede focus to the organizations we are supporting, end quote. That sentence just by itself is revolutionary. It really is, if you think about it. Why? She doesn't need anything, okay? Every other major philanthropic gift in history puts the donor at the center of the story. The Gates Foundation has Bill's name, Bloomberg Philanthropies has Michael's name. Yeah, great, right? MacKenzie's position is this. The story is not about me. It's as simple as that. How do you not fall in love with a woman like that? She's extraordinary. That's a fact, okay? The story is about the food bank, the historically black college universities, the tribal college, the medical debt organization. That's what the story is all about, okay? That's the truth. I'll just quote the thing she said. The moment my name actually becomes the headline, I've stolen the spotlight from the people doing the actual work. Love you, girl. Or you said it, I'll say it again. Chronicle, philanthropy, snub, pfft, whatever. I'm sure MacKenzie didn't lose sleep over it, okay? So let me just revel in this for a second, okay? So she gave $7.1 billion in 2025. Her 2025, I'm gonna try to say this slowly so it sinks to sink in, okay? Her 2025 giving alone exceeded her ex-husband Jeff's total lifetime charitable giving. Jeff? Hello, Jeff? Jeff? Anybody? Hello, Jeff? And the Chronicle of Philanthropy response was, "You're not in our top 50 list because you wouldn't tell us your numbers." Seriously? And her response to that was complete silence. Probably writing another essay about murmurations of starlings. I love you, girl. You keep writing, okay? I find this so delightful I could frame it, okay? She is my personal hero. Oh, seriously, this lady is incredible. And I can already hear some of you saying, "Well, Milan, what this means for us? I mean, what do we do? I mean, what does this mean?" Well, look, let me just be perfectly clear, okay? You might be thinking, "Milan, this is wonderful, but I do not have a $38 billion. I have a $38 after paying bills." Girl and a boy, I hear, okay? What does this have to do with me? I hear everything. Now, let me tell you why, okay? Lesson 1, give now. Don't wait for enough. When is it enough? Enough. I mean, look at these billionaires who never contributed a freaking dime or contributed only to their own charity organizations, and they haven't done nothing, okay? MacKenzie wrote in 2019, and please correct me, Scott, if I'm wrong, but basically she said, "I have no doubt that tremendous value comes when people act quickly on the impulse to give." Novel, right? "I will keep at it until the safe is empty." Oh, I can just repeat this line. I'm going to fall asleep with it tonight. That's awesome. She started giving before she had a plan, before she had a foundation, before she had a strategy. Why? Because that's who she is, okay? The lesson. The perfect giving strategy you're still planning is less valuable than the imperfect giving you do today, obviously. That's a fact. That's lesson number 1. Number 2, trust organizations you support. Obviously, and that's where we get into it, when you actually vetted the charity thoroughly, instead of freaking watching this silly video on YouTube for the next half an hour, vet the organization that you want to contribute to, okay? As we covered in our previous video. Trust them with your gift. Don't earmark every dollar. Unrestricted gifts are the most valuable gifts a nonprofit can receive. That's a fact. Lesson 3, give to the overlooked. Give to the overlooked. I have to repeat that, okay? So MacKenzie actually has systematically, that's the key word, targeted organizations that traditionally philanthropy has underfunded. Historically black college universities, tribal colleges, community organizations in rural areas. Your $500 to a well-funded national charity might disappear in a budget. Seriously. But your $500 to a small community organization might fund an entire program. Lesson 4. Wealth is a collective product. Give it back collectively. Okay? That's simple as that. So give it back collectively. Basically, MacKenzie actually has written that no one accumulates wealth alone. Every fortune is built on infrastructure, education, labor, community. Giving back is not a charity. It's reciprocity. It's participation. It's belonging. So in closing, I just wanted to say, I wanted to leave you with one image, okay? Somewhere, right now, okay, in a tribal college in North Dakota, in a food bank in Louisiana, in a girls' school in Tanzania, in a training kitchen in New Orleans, someone's life is actually different because a woman decided she wasn't going to wait. No press conference, no stadium named after her again, no golden toilet. Just $26 billion. That's right, $26 billion quietly given to people doing actually the hard, invisible, essential work of making the world less broken, okay? MacKenzie Scott, folks, won't tell you she did this. She won't even accept awards for it, okay? She'll write a quiet essay at the end of the year, mention a dentist and a college roommate, and go back to work. I think that is the most beautiful thing happening in American public right now. It really is. I really believe that. So if you got the value from today's video, share it, of course. I didn't want you to just see this by yourself. Leave a positive comment about which story moved you the most. Download the giving guide in the description. I'll put the same page you had in the first part, in the first video. And subscribe. Let us know, let your friends know. And remember, You don't need the $38 billion to start, okay? You just need basically a decision, the trust, obviously, who you want to trust to give your money to, and the willingness to yield just a little bit of control, that's all. Again, I'm Milan. This has been Financial Wisdom with Milan, and I will see you in the next one. And for my girl, love you. And this is a little bit off script, so I just wanted to say this to Miss Scott, if you happen to watch this. Miss Scott, if you're watching this, sincerely hope I got most of the information right. If I didn't, I do apologize, but I just wanted you to be recognized even through the YouTube. Nobody, basically. I really love you. I really love what you're doing, and I cannot stress enough how incredible you are and your team and your giving. If I cannot meet you, can I meet some of them? Or I would love to meet you. I would love to meet them and just have a little conversation. I think I have a couple ideas. Maybe you guys already worked on it. Maybe you haven't, but I have some ideas, maybe suggestions going forward to help some of those other folks in your sphere who are thinking that we are not important. But honestly, I wanted to say thank you, and thank you again. Thank you very much.